January 2022. North Korea's internet vanishes. Government websites blink offline without warning. Was this retaliation for Kim Jong-un's latest missile tests? Experts suspect a massive cyber attack, possibly launched by a rival government. But the truth is far simpler and far stranger. It wasn't a state cyber unit at all. It was a single hacker sitting at home in pajamas, driven by a personal grudge. Why did he do it? And just how far was he willing to go to make North Korea pay? The initial attack. 1 year earlier, an American cybersecurity researcher sits at his desk scrolling through lines of code. He's known only by his online handle, P4X. Late one night in January 2021, P4X receives a message from another researcher offering him a new hacking tool. Curious, he opens the file inside a secure virtual machine. Nothing immediately happens. But within a day, Google publishes a bombshell blog post. North Korean hackers, it reveals, are targeting Western security researchers with booby-trapped files. P4X checks the tool he was sent, and his stomach drops. The file contains a hidden backdoor, a secret entry point for intruders. North Korean spies had tried to hack him. P4X is stunned. Why would a nation-state target him personally? He narrowly avoided disaster by isolating the malware, but the attempt leaves him shaken. Soon he learns he wasn't the only target. This was part of a broader campaign by North Korean operatives to steal hacking tools and vulnerability research from experts like him. In other words, Pyongyang's hackers were hunting the hunters. P4X expects the US government to respond. After all, being attacked by foreign cyber spies feels like an act of war against a private citizen. An FBI agent does reach out, but only to take his statement. There is no follow-up. No help securing his systems, no retaliation against the attackers. Weeks pass, then months. Silence. It feels like nobody is coming. P4X feels abandoned. There's really nobody on our side, he concludes bitterly. He's a hacker exposed to a hostile nation's spies, and no one will protect him. That's when a seed of resentment takes root. North Korea struck him in secret and got away with it. P4X is not the forgiving type. As the months go by, that resentment grows into a plan. If the authorities won't avenge this breach, maybe he will. The idea sounds almost insane, a one-man counterattack against the most isolated regime on Earth. But the more P4X thinks about it, the more it feels not only possible, but necessary. By the end of 2021, his mind is made up. He will strike North Korea himself. But can one man really take down a country's internet without getting caught? Planning revenge. P4X begins quietly gathering intelligence. For once, he is the hunter. His target is North Korea's tiny presence on the global internet. Very few outsiders truly understand what the country's online infrastructure looks like. What he discovers amazes him. North Korea's digital footprint is shockingly small and fragile. Only a handful of networks and a few dozen websites serve the entire nation. It's a digital house of cards, propped up by outdated software and sloppy security. To an experienced hacker, it's full of unlocked doors. Night after night, P4X scours North Korea's systems from afar. He probes servers, tests digital doors and windows, searching for weaknesses. Before long, he finds what he needs: vulnerabilities, and plenty of them. They aren't even new flaws. These are known vulnerabilities that North Korean system administrators never bothered to patch. Old versions of Apache riddled with holes, an outdated Nginx web server bug that crashes the system if you send it a malformed header. To P4X, it looks like North Korea left their front gates wide open. The more he maps their network, the more confident he becomes. He can do this. P4X writes custom scripts to automate the attacks. If one man is going to strike an entire country, automation is essential. His code scans North Korean servers, identifies which ones are online, then hits them with exploits designed to overload or crash them. It's a denial-of-service attack executed with surgical precision, a form of digital guerrilla warfare. Every line of code has one purpose: knock North Korea off the global internet. He knows operating as a vigilante is dangerous. If caught, he could face serious legal consequences. And if North Korea identifies who's behind the attacks, retaliation is a real possibility. So P4X takes precautions. He adopts a pseudonym, P4X, pronounced Pax, a cheeky reference to enforcing peace through punishment. No real name, no face, just a faceless hacker delivering payback from the shadows. By early 2022, the plan is ready: crashing North Korea's internet. P4X sits at his computer, likely wearing his usual uniform, a t-shirt, pajama pants, and slippers. An ordinary-looking man with an extraordinary mission. He double-checks his tools. The code is loaded onto his laptop and rented cloud servers. The targets are lined up. His heart pounds with adrenaline and defiance. After a deep breath, he launches the attack. At first, it feels anticlimactic. Just code running. No explosions, no immediate proof of impact. He turns on a movie, munches on snacks, trying to act normal. Every few minutes, he checks the progress. Then, the results appear. One by one, North Korean servers stop responding. The national airline's booking site goes down. The regime's official web portal disappears. State news websites vanish. Across the world, anyone trying to access North Korea online sees only error messages. Inside the country, officials suddenly lose access to external email and web services. North Korea has been knocked offline. P4X checks independent monitoring services. The charts show a sea of red outages. Veteran cybersecurity researchers observing North Korean traffic see massive, unexplained attacks taking entire networks down, with no idea who's responsible. P4X smiles. It's working. Hour after hour, his scripts relentlessly bombard vulnerable servers. Routers overload, connections collapse. By the time he stops, nearly every North Korean website is down. An entire nation's online presence has been crippled by a lone hacker at his keyboard. As he prepares for bed, P4X absorbs what he's accomplished. It's a strange mix of triumph and disbelief. North Korea's internet is supposed to be an iron wall, tightly controlled and impenetrable. Yet he punched through it with relative ease. This is only the beginning. By the next morning, news of North Korea's internet outage quietly spreads through analyst circles and intelligence communities. It's not every day an entire country disappears from the global network. Speculation runs wild. Did US Cyber Command strike back? Was this the work of another state-sponsored hacking group? The timing looks suspicious. Just days earlier, North Korea had carried out a series of missile tests. Some observers whisper that this must be a deliberate cyber retaliation, a silent warning telling Pyongyang to back off. The North Korean government, predictably, says nothing. There is no public admission that anything is wrong. Inside the country, most ordinary citizens don't even realize the internet is down. They don't have access to the global web in the first place. Fewer than 1% of North Koreans can go online beyond the domestic intranet. The outages mainly affect the regime's external-facing systems, propaganda websites, international email servers, and official portals meant for the outside world. On the streets of Pyongyang, daily life continues as usual. The outage is an embarrassment for the leadership, not a nationwide crisis. Abroad, however, among the small community of North Korean watchers, the outage is big news. For several days in a row, nearly all of the country's limited number of limited websites remain unreachable. Tech forums light up, social media buzzes with theories. When a few sites briefly come back online, they crash again soon after. It feels as if someone is deliberately flipping the switch, turning North Korea's connection to the world off and on at will. Yet no government takes responsibility. No official statement is made. The mystery only deepens. Is this a new form of covert pressure from the United States or South Korea? A retaliatory strike by hackers from a rival nation? The lack of answers creates a cinematic whodunit. Almost no one suspects the truth, that the person holding North Korea's internet hostage is not a cyber army, but a lone hacker working from home. P4X watches the global guessing game unfold from behind his keyboard. He reads articles speculating about state-sponsored operations and quietly laughs. The world has no idea this is a personal vendetta playing out in real time. For P4X, that confusion is part of the satisfaction. He doesn't want fame, not yet. Remaining invisible keeps him safe, and as long as the regime doesn't know who is hitting them, they can't strike back. Still, the longer the mystery lasts, the more dangerous it becomes.
How long can one person keep this up? What if North Korea finds a way to retaliate, digitally or otherwise? The world may be in the dark, but P4X knows he's stirring something that could spiral out of control. Raising the stakes. For now, he's winning. By taking down North Korea's internet, P4X has made his point. Kim Jong-un's regime has been publicly humiliated, exposed as so weak online that a single hacker can unplug it at will. For P4X, this is vindication. I definitely wanted to affect the government as much as possible and the people as little as possible, he says later. In his mind, knocking out propaganda websites is like tearing down a dictator's billboards, a symbolic victory. Flush with success, P4X decides he won't stop at temporary outages. The more he thinks about it, the clearer it becomes. This one-man operation could turn into something larger. North Korea's hackers will continue targeting Western researchers if nothing changes. So P4X considers escalating, beyond denial of service attacks, beyond outages. Next would be real intrusions, breaching systems, uncovering secrets, exposing sensitive information to the world. If shutting down the internet got attention, imagine the impact of leaking internal data. But even P4X knows he has limits alone. Quietly, he sets up a covert website on the dark web. He calls it the Funk Project, short for FU North Korea. It's a rallying point, a call for like-minded activists to join the cause. The message is simple: hold North Korea accountable. In effect, P4X is trying to recruit a team. One hacker took the country offline. A small group could go much deeper. It's the beginning of a vigilante cyber movement. Not everyone approves. Some in the cybersecurity community worry that P4X's actions could interfere with classified intelligence operations. What if US or allied agencies have quietly infiltrated those same systems? Loud takedowns could compromise silent espionage. Others point out the obvious: he is almost certainly breaking the law. In the eyes of the US government, hacking is hacking, even when the target is a hostile regime. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act has no vigilante exception. P4X understands this. He knows he's risking prison, and there's always the threat of North Korean retaliation. So, is he afraid? Surprisingly, no. He's driven by a mix of anger and principle. In his view, North Korea operates with total impunity, launching cyber attacks and committing human rights abuses without consequence. Someone, he believes, has to push back. My conscience is clear, he says. To him, exposing the regime's weaknesses and sending a message is worth the risk. And that message isn't only for Pyongyang, it's also for his own government. By going rogue, he hopes to force authorities to take these threats seriously and protect individuals like him in the future. If no one else will defend against these attacks, P4X will. When asked how far he plans to go, he laughs. Regime change, he jokes, then quickly adds he's kidding. He insists he's not trying to topple governments, he just wants to prove a point, and he'll keep hammering North Korea's networks until that point is impossible to ignore. So far, no law enforcement has knocked on his door. North Korea still doesn't know who he is. The opening shots of this one-man cyber war have been fired. P4X remains unpunished, unidentified, and unbowed. His campaign continues in the shadows, leaving a repressive regime looking over its shoulder and the rest of the world wondering who struck the Hermit Kingdom online and whether they'll strike again. One man in pajamas brought an entire regime to its knees. But how long can one hacker stay invisible in a war this dangerous?